Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. I know it's been a while since the last one, but I'm finally back. I went to Japan for 2 weeks and I had to prep for school, so I've been pretty busy lately. Today I will be talking about my mental abuser and the fact that I wasn't even aware I was being mentally abused until almost 2 whole years later. Yeah, it's actually really sad, and I'm sorry to anybody who's going through or has been through anything like this. For privacy reasons, we will not be calling this girl by her real name. We're going to be calling her Avery. Sorry to all my Averys out there. And trigger warnings for mental abuse and stuff like that. So watch at your own risk. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into the story. I'm going to be breaking this down into different scenarios with a little bit of context. You might be asking if this is fake or I made this up, but nope, it's actually real and this all actually happened to me. I was only 9 when this all happened, fresh into 4th grade. So I had already known Avery, but we weren't close or anything, and she already had kind of a bad reputation at the school. I don't know why, I don't remember why, but once 4th grade started, we became best friends. We became really close, even though I already had 2 of my best friends in that class. So the more we hung out, the worse things kept getting. I will be listing some things that she did in a chronological order. So, this is Incident 1, The Little Prince. I had just finished reading The Little Prince, the book The Little Prince, and I really liked it. I fell in love with it. My mom saw this and she decided she was going to get me a little bookmark. I brought the bookmark to school and Avery saw it. She also really liked it, and on this day of school we had sports class. So I go to sports class. It was raining outside, so we go indoors, and I realized we were doing gymnastics, so I had to take off my shoes, and I decided to put the bookmark inside my shoes so nobody would steal it. During sports class, Avery sees a little tiny brown speck on the mat that we were doing somersaults on, and Avery always told me that she had a really bad nut allergy, deadly, and she saw this tiny little brown dot. I'm pretty sure it was a crumb of bread, but microscopic, okay? And she thought it was a nut, or she faked it because it wasn't a nut. And she started aggressively coughing and pretending to choke and doing all sorts of acts to prove that she was having an allergic reaction. She would fill her mouth with saliva and spit it all over me. And I told the teacher about this, and the teacher, I don't know, she brought her to the medical room or something. I think the nurse's office. But at the end of sports class, I go to my shoe and the bookmark isn't there anymore. The only person I showed that bookmark to was Avery, so logically she stole it, and deep inside of me I knew it was her, but she told me it was someone else. The next day, I'm very heartbroken because this was such a beautiful bookmark and I really liked it and I really liked the book. We were waiting in line to go to recess next to a window. The window has a frame on it, and there was a marker, a brown marker. I remember specifically. Me and Avery were standing in line and I saw the marker and she said, "What if we wrote on the window frame, 'If you find this little bookmark, send it to my class'?" So I was like, okay, let me write it since I'm the one who lost it. I wrote it, and the school saw it. They come to our class, and they say, okay, the person who did this, they have to admit they did it. And the next recess, I say to Avery, okay, you know what? Let's tell them that we did it so we can, fix it. We can, put paint over the window frame. And then she says, no, I went to the principal almost 100 times. If I do this once, I'm going to get kicked out of the school. My entire life's going to be ruined. My dream of being a math teacher is going to be ruined. Please, Nora, please don't do this. You know how much it's going to affect me. This one. I decide, okay, I'm going to go tell them I did it, and I'm going to say I did it with a friend, but I'm not going to say what friend. So I go to my teacher. Let's call her Fiona. She comes back in later of the video. But Fiona, I tell her I did it. I wrote on the window frame with one of my friends, and then she asked me which friend. So I tell her it was Avery, and we go to the principal's office. Now the principal asks us, okay, why did you do this? I explain it's because I lost it, and then I tell her I wrote it because I lost it, and Avery's over here bawling her eyes out, crying, throwing a tantrum, screaming, while I'm sitting there calmly saying I did it. And then Avery's over there lying, saying, oh no, I told her to write a poster, okay? I never said write it on the window frame. Bawling her eyes out, screaming, while I'm calmly standing there. So who do you think they believed? Obviously me. So they told us to go get paint, paint it over, and then she gave me gummy bears, and we made up. I know this was a very small incident, but it definitely affected me back then because it was the first time I went to the principal's office, and these stories, they get progressively worse. So now we're going to start with incident number 2, the school road trip. My school had this road trip to a different country, and it was kind of like a day camp, if you know what I mean. So basically, each room had 4 people, except one room that had 8 people. I was the room with 8 people. It was me, 6 other people, and Avery. Now, just picture a very old cabin, okay? Very old. Wood creaking everywhere. It's like a day camp, so we're mostly outside, and we get very dirty. So we obviously want to take showers. But the shower incident, this is where all hell broke loose. I don't know if that's how you say it. But basically, the showers, if you weren't part of the first 3 people that took a shower, you would get cold water. There were only 3 showers, and if you weren't one of the first 3 people, you'd be getting ice cold water. So, naturally, everybody tried to get first. And the school saw this, and we were all fighting like sardines or whatever. Like, we were all bunched up together waiting, and they decided, okay, we're gonna go on each door, and we're gonna say, okay, the first person come, right? And my group, having 8 people in the room, we all were fighting. Okay, who's gonna go first? There was a girl in my cabin. We're gonna call her Amelia. Amelia was allergic to the cold, and we know this because we've actually seen her break out in hives out in the winter when she forgot her jacket. So she was literally allergic to the cold water. So every day when we had to choose, okay, who's gonna go first, we would always let Amelia go first because she's allergic to the cold. We don't want her to break out in hives, not be able to sleep, do all that. Well, Avery saw this, and she started lying that she was also allergic to the cold. She took this very seriously, this whole act that she was allergic to the cold, by she was refusing to go outside because they didn't offer a jacket, and she allegedly forgot her jacket because she was allergic to the cold. She was not allergic to the cold, okay? I've seen her in a t-shirt and skirts out in the winter with snow on the ground. My girl was fine. One day, though, she did take this a little bit too far, and she started drawing hives on her skin. So, finally, after literally, I think 3 days of pretending this, we let her go first in the shower. She comes back and tells us that the shower was burning her too much, that the water was too hot. So we say, okay, you say you're allergic to the cold, you want hot water, you get hot water, you're complaining that it's too hot. And I understand, okay, if the water's too hot, it's too hot, right? But the fact that she lied her way to get hot water and then got the hot water that Amelia needed, and now she's complaining. It was a whole thing. Oh my gosh. I don't exactly remember a lot of it because that was a long time ago. But yes, it was... This was 5th grade now. We're transitioning into 5th grade, which honestly was the worst year of my entire life because of Avery. And we're gonna move on to incident number 3. The Scratch Therian Project. Now, that is a very weird title, I know, but just stay with me for a little bit. Avery was a Therian, which that's perfectly fine if she can do whatever she wants with her life, but she was turning her business into our business, which that was not okay. By our, I mean me and my friends. So in 5th grade, me and all of my good friends were in one class, and Avery was the only one of our friend group that was in another class, which I'm so grateful for because I cannot imagine what would have happened if she was in my class. But she was a Therian, and she brought her tail to school one day. What she did was she would get on the ground go ask random people if they're on the cats or dogs team, and if they said dogs, she would lick them. I wish I was joking. I wish I was making all this up, but I'm not. I promise I'm not. Well, one day she came up to me and my friend group and she just started aggressively licking us. And then she started licking me and I kicked her a little bit, like a little thud. You know what I mean? She cries for 20 whole minutes saying I caused permanent brain damage to her. Well, she said, when I get sick or hurt because of you, I like to make a Scratch game. Scratch the website. Now, I also used Scratch, and it was always a constant competition of who had more followers. It was so exhausting. But one day we decided we're going to make an account, share it, and then we're going to collab on our two accounts. We're going to make a Therian Warrior Cats project, okay? So we start making it, and it was my turn to draw a cat. I go to Google and I search up cat pose reference. I look at this cat and I copy the pose, and it was literally the most basic pose. I'm gonna put it up on the screen, but it was the most basic cat pose ever. I draw the cat in the same pose, and then Avery comes and starts accusing me of copying, art theft, saying this is actual crime. You could get arrested for this. Meanwhile, I show her the picture and I say, okay, I literally didn't steal anything. I just did this cat pose, which is a very common cat pose. You cannot go to jail for that. But she kept insisting to delete the cat, and she said I was terrible at coding, so she kicked me out of the collaboration. I mean, that's what she said, but she never actually ended up doing it, and all my code was still there, and all my art was still there. I will actually show you guys the project, but Scratch is a very toxic community. I feel like if you don't post, people will get extremely mad at you and frustrated, and it's just, people there are extremely opinionated, so I would not recommend going there if you already have, like, if you're already depressed or something. Wow, such a beautiful masterpiece, am I right? I'm actually planning to do some more Scratch things. It's just, I've been a little bit traumatized from Scratch because of Avery, but I might come back soon. I don't know when soon is, but that was the project that we had a big fight over. This fight then led to cyberbullying, cursing in a chat with 10-year-olds where their parents can see it, having the counselor not do anything and just tell us to hug and forgive, and all sorts of other things. The last situation I want to talk about is hotel fight. I'm literally making these names up on the spot, so if they're kind of weird, just don't judge. But basically, my school had another trip, and this time the rooms were by three. But there's this teacher we're gonna call Miss Leslie. Okay, Miss Leslie, she always made a lot of assumptions about people, and at this point, Avery had literally almost drowned my sister and killed her. So I did not want to be with her at all. But Miss Leslie made an assumption that I was her best friend, and there was one room with two people. Guess who she put in that room of two people? Me and Avery. So me and Avery were in this room together. Oh my gosh, my stomach is literally like physically aching me just thinking about this. And one day, Avery is screaming in her pillow. By screaming, literally like screaming inside her pillow. I obviously wake up. It's around 1 in the morning. I'm literally, I think, like 11 at this time. But I wake up at 1 in the morning from Avery screaming in her pillow. Then I tell her to stop. She says it was one of the drunk teenagers outside. So I try to go back to sleep, but she continues, and then I go to the bathroom to use the bathroom. When I go inside the bathroom, she stopped. When I leave, she started again. So I decided to go into the bathroom and just wait until she stopped or until I fell back asleep. So right now I'm in the bathroom. I start crying because it's been like, 30 minutes, almost an hour, and I can't sleep. And I'm alone, dark on the cold floor. So after a little bit more, I think about 15 minutes more of me crying, I hear Avery coming to the bathroom. She opens the door, starts screaming every slur she knows at me, every bad word she knows at me, any bad thing, everything, bad things to me. And I start crying more. She tells me, cry, baby. I don't remember, okay? And then she lied and said I try to steal her curly hair products. Mind you, I have almost pin straight hair. So she attempts to try to like hit me with the curly hair products, and I run out of the room and I go to this other counselor that was like the night shift counselor. We go back to the room and Avery tries to explain. She doesn't explain that she's in the wrong. She tells the counselor that I tried to hit her with a stick 12 times, stole this other girl's ID card, and then I hit her with a pillow. The hitting with the pillow part was true because I was so fed up with her screaming for 30 minutes straight, I hit her with the pillow to shush her, and then she kept screaming. But the counselor doesn't do anything, just tells me to go back to sleep and pretend like it never happened. There were obviously a lot of other scenarios that I haven't talked about because they're just a little bit too personal. I mean, I will touch a little bit on her almost drowning my sister. My sister was 6 at the time, and she unknowingly jumped into the deep end of the pool. She can swim, but she can't draw water, so she was like up there kind of drowning. Avery had, I'm pretty sure she had 5 floaties, 4 pool noodles, and 1 paddleboard, but instead of trying to give one to her, she grabbed my sister by the neck and tried pulling her by the shore, and the lifeguard had jumped in, and it was just this whole thing. Then she spit on the birthday girl's cake because apparently it had peanuts in it, and she got us all sick. You're probably like, Nora, that's not mental abuse, that's just a crazy girl. It was, okay, she blamed everything on her ADHD, lied about being autistic. I mean, I don't know if it was a lie, but I feel like she was blaming her autism and ADHD for these horrible actions. Mental abuse, also called emotional or philosophical abuse, is a pattern of intentional verbal or non-physical behaviors used to control, humiliate, manipulate, or frighten another person. Common signs and tactics: gaslighting, denying reality or making you doubt your own memory, sanity, or perception. Constant criticism, regularly insulting, belittling, or mocking your choice, appearance, or intelligence. Isolation, restricting who you see, where you go, or your access to friends and family. Intimidation and threats, using yelling, threats of harm, or unpredictable outbursts to create fear. Shift and blame, making you feel responsible for the abuser's poor behavior or the problems in the relationship. To anybody who is struggling, I hope you make it out okay, and I hope one day the storm clouds set aside and you can see the sunshine again.